right, is that particular chicken, and I just never look back, and it's fine that I eat that every single day. I don't really have a problem with that, right? So
you look great for someone who just slams chicken parm all the time.
Thanks, man.
I could do that.
Well, it's not like you have your like spaghetti and sauce. Welcome back. You're listening to the Full Send Podcast alongside two of my good friends here, Jim and Monroe. Good afternoon, guys. Had to think about that for a second. What's going on?
Good to see you guys. It's been a little bit. Excited.
Yeah, it definitely has as far as that goes. Jim, what's new, man? Monroe and I went skiing, not snowboarding. I went snowboarding a couple weeks ago. What have you been up to?
Just getting the practice up and running. The website's coming along. I'm updating our rehab pages, so that's what I'm doing in my free time. Been doing some mobility workshops at different CrossFit gyms. Not that I'm betraying Verity or anything.
No,
it's just
you're building your business, bro.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't have to be exclusive to here. We just get to have you whenever we want, which is awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. So that's been going well, and just trying to stay busy and trying to keep moving forward.
Awesome, Monroe. What's up, dude?
Dude, I had a great time skiing last week.
Yeah, talk to us about it, man.
It's funny. Actually, like the first time I saw you back, he's like, "Dude, how was snowboarding this past weekend?" I'm like, we literally talked about it for like 15 minutes on the podcast.
It was absolutely awful. I was so ashamed of myself. What'd you think of Park City?
Oh, it was beautiful. So beautiful. They actually have real snow, and like it snowed here this morning. And I just think I'm a little jaded from.
Well, out there it was actually like powder, right? Out here it's like sand is basically what it's like running on.
I mean, this morning it was just like frozen water hitting you.
Yeah.
But no, it was beautiful, man. I've never seen that much snow, and it's always like it was waking up every morning. You know, it'd snow like 3 to 6 inches.
Yeah. What were the conditions like? Was it snowing? Was it clear?
So the day that we were skiing, it was dumping snow, and it was zero visibility. Like you couldn't, it was awesome.
Free refills, man. That's awesome.
But yeah, it was good.
So you any good at skiing?
No, I'm terrible. I mean, I'm okay. So it was fun. It was it was Morgan's first time skiing, so she got a little scared on the mountain, which is okay.
It's a totally different experience from right. I grew up in Michigan. In Michigan, like their largest elevation is like 2,000 vertical feet. It's nothing. It's like a little hill. It's probably a better description of what that actually is. And the first time that I ever went out and snowboarded or skied on a mountain was out in Whistler in British Columbia, Canada, and it was sweet. It's where the 2010 Olympics were. Gorgeous. It was like probably 9,000 feet of elevation, and you're just like looking at faces of mountains and everything. And it was really sunny and clear both days, so you could see everything.
Yeah, I wish it was clear like that.
Which can be really daunting, right? So we went all the way up to the top of one of the two mountains that you get all the way up to the top. And the way that you get down on one of them, and it's a green route, is to literally follow this pretty wide road. And as far as runs go, it was a wide area. However, on one side was like, okay, the face of the mountain's here, right? So you're basically hugging a bunch of land, which is really nice. On the other side, it's just a straight drop down where it's like anything happens here, you're going to slide for a very long time, and hopefully you're not going to fall, but like, at least your skis would maybe fall off you at some point. With your snowboard, you're literally strapped in, and you're just going to tumble over
forever
until basically gravity and frictions takes care of you, which you never know what's going to happen. So as a beginner, I get that, man.
Yeah, she kind of pizzaed the whole way down the mountain.
Hey,
she was like, I'm done with this.
Yeah.
Like halfway through, she was like, I don't know if I can. I'm like, well, we're halfway down the mountain now, so... Yeah. Well, we got to get down there somehow.
And snowboarding, skiing, I mean, that's a skill. Just like CrossFit or doing the kipping pull-up or the ring muscle-up, handstand walking, you have to practice to be able to be good at something like that.
For sure. No, and one thing she said, she was like, man, if I hadn't been squatting and my legs weren't strong, there's no way I could have, held that pizza for that long.
Yeah. But Sydney's former collegiate catcher and spent her whole life in the bottom of a squat, and she said that snowboarding was like the most physically demanding thing she's ever done in her legs, which astounded me. Sure. You remember her on the box step overs yesterday, and she was just an absolute savage on top of them? Yeah, I mean, it just surprises me that she would get on the snowboard, and then that was the position that really kind of affected her legs.
That pissed me off yesterday, because I was like, oh, you do great on those. Like, what? Like, do you like that movie? She was like, yeah. they're just not really that hard. I'm like, great. It's like the hardest thing ever, but okay.
Oh my God.
She does that. She does that with pistols too, and she just stomps those movements, which is just fantastic. Well, all right, guys, let's segue back into CrossFit here. I just want to talk a little bit about where we're at as far as fitness goes and everything, and just kind of what we're working on personally. I'll go first on this one because I got about a billion things going on in my life right now. At one point, Monroe and I were working on Olympic weightlifting pretty specifically, and then I got engaged, and then I started planning a wedding. A lot of things were happening in my life.
All your free time went out the window.
Yeah, right? Or the very little free time that I have, I just didn't want to put it exclusively into, more CrossFit or more Olympic weightlifting, and that's perfectly okay as well. So right now, all I'm trying to do is get in here 4 or 5 times a week and have fun.
Hell yeah.
That's about it, right? If I'm able to work on some chest to bar pull-ups and Olympic lifting in there, that's great. Trying very hard to make Saturday mornings as much as I can. I'll be here this week. But, that's what I'm working on right now.
Cool.
Jim, what are you doing?
Well, at the beginning of the new year, I was listening to your guys' podcast about like goal setting and stuff, and I was like, I just normally show up and just do what's asked, on the whiteboard, and then from there, I was like, maybe I should have some more specific goals. So I have some numbers I'm trying to hit in the new year for each lift. I was like, let's go up a little bit in each one. So just steady working towards that. And then the toaster bar workout this week just completely smoked me. So obviously the gymnastics needs some work too.
That workout was brutal. And I also have the grips where, victory grips with I don't know which grip it is. Maybe it's the leather. I'm just not the biggest fan. My hands can't hang on the bar that well. That was a tough workout though. Yeah,
that was a ton of toes to bars, and you just get exposed if you don't have that. That's why those triplets are so funny, because you're like, oh, the other two don't sound so bad, and then you hit the one, and you're just like, all right.
Yeah, and it's a little bit higher volume, even though it was 3 rounds, right? Mm-hmm. So anything like over 40, 45 reps, that's going to start to tax something eventually. Mm-hmm. That was a clever workout as far as that goes. Cool. Gymnastics, lifting for Jim. Monroe, what are you doing?
Nothing.
Walk me through it, man.
Career change.
So kind of similar as you. Like I work out to have fun. It's kind of like at this point in my life, fitness is a lot like brushing my teeth or taking a shower. It's very, it's kind of just something that
very routine.
I want to do. It's, it's part of my routine. It's definitely something I enjoy, but I don't put a whole lot of weight into it anymore. And I think that's fine. I think that at a point you kind of got to focus on other things and, make the most of the time that you have here.
Yeah, I think, you don't put a whole lot of weight into it. I think it's a very relative term, because I just saw a video of you the other day on the internet, and you got the bar in the front rack position, and it literally looks like a circus from like back in like the 1800s when like the strong man has like all the weights on the bar, and I'm like, Jesus, oh my God. Yeah, so that's a little relative there. I think you're doing fine in terms of the weight that you're using.
Yeah. It's one thing about fitness, and I've had this conversation with Kenta, and like getting stronger, you get like a really kind of screwed up opinion of what health and fitness is, the fitter that you get, and you're like, oh God, man, I couldn't go unbroken on those sets of 10 ring muscle ups. It's just like, what?
Wait,
hold on, it's like, you even be able to do one is like a significant level of fitness. But yeah, as far as weightlifting, my focus is just kind of on the open. I'm still trying to, get my glute healthy again, which it feels a lot better, by the way.
Thanks, Dr. Jim.
Thank you to Dr. Jim and his wise understanding of what was going on with myself. But so working on mobility, working on feeling good during workouts. After the open, I want to focus a little bit more on Olympic weightlifting. So we might have some fun new announcements coming for you guys about Olympic weightlifting after the open. So super excited about that. So stay tuned for more information. Not quite ready to let the cat out of the bag yet, but yeah, so more of a focus on Olympic weightlifting for me personally after the open. But yeah, just having fun.
Cool. What are you guys doing for nutrition? Talked about it in the gym. Let's talk a little bit about outside the gym a little bit. Jim, you want to kick this one off?
Yeah, so nutrition is like one of my favorite topics to talk about. I've read a lot of books, and we cover a lot of it in my DC degree, and I have some pretty strong opinions about dieting and nutrition. And the thing that's really cool about it is it goes literally hand in hand with a lot of what you guys are saying. Eating whole regular foods, frequently, eating as clean as possible, taking it easy on the refined sugars. And I think I was listening to one, and I'm like, you know what? I started looking at my diet, and I'm like, I'm having like yogurt and oatmeal, which, these things have some good effects in terms of like prebiotics and probiotics, and then B vitamins from the oatmeal. But I'm like, I could, if I tried, get this with regular food. I don't need to go and be purchasing from the inside aisles of the grocery store. So lately I've been trying to just, replace every, processed food or even minimally processed food with just straight up real food. And it's been going a lot better.
Good for you, man. Dude, if I had to give up, I think Greek vanilla yogurt might be my favorite food on the entire planet. It's just,
What's your brand?
Whatever's the cheapest.
I'm a Chobani guy.
Yeah.
I was going to ask, yogurt
Chobani's good, but right now I typically would just get whatever a Giant or Wegmans brand is going to be, because typically it'll be $1.12 or something like that cheaper. When you think about how many units, containers I consume of that stuff over the year, it saves me marginal amount of money and everything like that. That's awesome, Jim. What are you doing, man? 4 to 6 times a day, eating three squares a meal. Walk me through a little bit of frequency stuff, man.
Well, when I first started training more regularly, 5 times a week, I was doing I was doing 3 meals, 2 snacks, and then 2 protein shakes, and that was a lot. That felt like it was a full-time job. So I cut back on one of the shakes, and then I made one of the snacks into kind of a mini meal.
Yeah.
Because I completely vibe with, getting it from real foods, and I was like, if I could ultimately completely get off of the protein shakes to supplement my calories and supplement the amount of protein I'm in, then I think that would be the best in terms of, my ability to digest and my ability to absorb. So
for sure,
just trying to work that in.
Cool.
Easier said than done.
Any other supplements in the regimen currently right now besides protein powder?
I take creatine.
Okay.
I do, I think it's 5 milligrams per day. And honestly, I hadn't done that since high school, and you do see a huge performance benefit. I'm not even gonna lie.
There's a lot of studies out there that say creatine is very beneficial within performance settings. So
if something that you're doing 12 reps of or something, and you're struggling for those last 4 reps, when you take if you're regularly taking creatine, can make those 12 reps a lot easier.
Cool.
So, for sure.
Monroe, what are you doing?
I'm kind of same as with the CrossFit stuff, just trying to keep it consistent, just like brushing my teeth, eat clean, and have fun with it. So I definitely.
Are you a cooker?
Oh man, I love cooking.
Yeah, we've had this discussion before. We're polar opposites as far as this goes. What's your favorite meal or recipe that you've made recently?
Dude, so I make these Southwest chicken and biscuits. All right, I make.
Dude, that's when can we come out with? Let's do the next podcast at your house, and we can have dinner together.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay.
But I just like cooking. But
next YouTube video should just be you in the kitchen.
Yeah,
that could be a good piece of content, though. I mean, especially if that's a healthy related meal. It's
it's not.
Monroe's.
It's not healthy.
Scratch that idea.
No, so even the not so healthy, it's a, it's made with biscuits and it has cheese in it, and it's
sounds awesome.
It's good.
Does sound awesome.
But even that, I'm using whole foods. I'm cooking it from scratch. I'm not
You're not getting the biscuits and
I'm
getting shredded cheese or whatever it is with culture and everything like that.
Right.
Yeah.
So it's that, and I enjoy the aspect of cooking and be able to combine different flavors and make different textures and everything work together. So I enjoy it, but we mostly just kind of focus on lean protein, lots of vegetables, and then we pick a starchy carb.
Cool.
So that's kind of the go-to for most of life. I have kind of this addiction to granola, and
granola's good, dude. Granola's really good.
That's kind of my thing. And so, in the past, I'd say 2 weeks or so, probably had a little bit more granola than I should. So I've been dialing back the granola.
Nobody's perfect.
Up in the eggs and spinach a little bit in the morning. So, trying to go with that. But
yeah, for both of you guys, what is your most consumed least protein? Not necessarily your favorite, but the most that you eat on a daily basis.
What's the question?
Yeah,
What is outside of protein powder, right? What is the most frequent protein that you consume? it chicken? Is it turkey? Is it beef? Is it tofu? I don't know.
Well, I tried. It's great. I get to do the shopping for the household, which my fiance doesn't appreciate because I don't get as much chocolate as she would like me to. I can kind of control because I know that if it's in the house, I'm going to eat it.
I'm the same way, man.
Yeah,
right?
Bad. But no, I mean, I usually we'll have salmon one night a week, steak one night a week, chicken another night a week.
Wow, so we got
beef,
we got the variety over at the gym household.
I get bored doing the same thing. Like, that's the thing I don't really like about meal prepping is like I can't eat the same thing over and over again. So like I could prep my lunch from the dinner from the night before, but like the dinner's got to be something new, fresh, and exciting each night.
Same.
And so like, and you guys can like see even through this conversation like how different like the three of us are in regards to all this stuff, right? And these guys like to cook a variety of different things. I loathe cooking. I think it's a complete waste of time, right? So I found, and we talked about this a little bit, either on a nutrition episode or maybe it was in supplements, but I found a recipe for
chicken parmesan,
right? It was breaded with, oats and everything like that. And I found it back in 2015. So we're going on 5.5 years here. And that is still the most consumed or frequently consumed protein that I eat on a daily basis, right, is that particular chicken. And I just never look back, and it's fine that I eat that every single day. I don't really have a problem with that, right? So
you look great for someone who just slams chicken parm all the time.
Thanks, man. All right, guys, welcome back. We're going to talk about injury prevention, recovery as well. Jim, smallest, most incremental stuff that we can do, kind of on a daily basis to prevent injury.
Well, I'd like to throw it back to you. When you guys think of injury prevention, what comes to your mind?
Stretching.
I was going to say stretching.
And the frequency at which I stretch is not as much as it probably should be. So stretching comes to mind, lowering the intensity of my workauts. And lowering the volume of my workouts as well. I'm going to say to a certain standard, right? So
that's a solid answer.
So I've seen a big difference as far as like when I would work out multiple times per day versus now where it's 4 or 5 times a week. And like I used to deal with a lot of pain in my shoulders. I'm not super mobile in the shoulders, but there's no pain there anymore. It's the same thing with the hips and a little bit in the ankles as well, depending on what's happening. So first things come to my head. Monroe.
Stretching was what I was gonna say. Stretching, like warming up, cooling down. For me, like it's more like warming up. I also think about like sleep and nutrition and that kind of stuff, but mostly like warming up.
I got you, and I'd agree. You guys hit the nail sort of on the head. There's some other things that go into injury prevention as well. So what normally happens is when we get people with injuries, it's usually because they're not moving well. So let's say if, like in my case, I got super limited ankle mobility from a bunch of ankle sprains that I'm currently, addressing and trying to improve, but me not moving well through the ankles has translated up to my knee, up to my hip, and up into my lower back. So now I'm in this dilemma where I'm like, all right, well, I'm not really in pain, but I could feel that I'm like teetering on the side of like, all right, something's not good. So I'm in this position. I'm like, well, what are my options here? Do I stop training? Do I, I know that if I keep progressing this way, it's going to turn into a frank injury. So if you're at that stage where you're training and you feel like just one of these days something's going to break down, this is the perfect time to start incorporating a little bit of injury prevention. Now, when areas get tight, it could be for a number of reasons. So let's take my ankles, for example. It could be the tight calf muscles in the back of the ankle that are limiting my range of motion. It could be scar tissue surrounding my ankle joint in general that is hindering my range of motion, or it could be motor control that's hindering my range of motion. So if you're an athlete, you're dealing with an injury, what I would recommend is, hey, why not address all three? So you could do rolling for muscles that are tight. If we sit on a foam roller for a minute to 2 minutes, flex and extend over those, that's going to help lengthen out those tissues. If it's more of a joint restriction problem, I see they incorporate this all the time with the CrossFit workouts here at Verity. They get the bands out, all right? The banded exercises that are pulling your hip away from your skeleton or pulling your shoulders away from the skeleton, that stretches what's called the joint capsule. And that's super important in terms of establishing range of motion. And then last but not least is that motor control component, which you guys are talking about a bit as the warm-up. If you really want to dial in and prehab an injury before it occurs, I would definitely recommend something like single body or one-sided exercises. So like, working on pistol squats are good form, or a modified version would be a step down exercise as that. Or if you hop on the crossover symmetry bands, if you just do one side at a time, creates a lot of neural drive to that side to improve coordination. So there's a lot of benefits and a lot of different ways that we can, prevent the injury from developing when like you're like, I just did squats, it didn't feel great, I'm not hurt, but there's ways that you can guard yourself from progressing into just frank injury. So that's what I think of it.
So like how often is the issue the neurological piece? Because like at least from
great question.
At least because like recovering from what I am, the past 2 injuries that I've had that have both been on like basically the same thing. It's like it's always like it feels good. It's just I'm not confident in it, And it's like I don't feel I can give you a beautiful air squat and make it not hurt, but I don't feel confident to like snap to the bottom of the snatch or hit the bottom of the hole in the clean really hard, And
yeah, and
so it's like for me, a lot of it's like I feel like once I get my brain to tell my body that it's okay, it'll be okay.
Yeah, and that's the tough part with rehabbing athletes is, how do we go from rehab to performance and bridging the gap there? I mean, there's tons of freaking books written on this stuff. And what's important is that the most common cause of injury is previous injury. Okay, because after you get injured once, you start adapting what we call fear avoidant or pain avoidance patterns. So you squat a little wonky when you go to pick up your shoes off the ground. You bend over and you round your back as a mechanism of not putting weight through your hip. All these things, just like repetitions at the gym, it creates a motor pattern. And if you keep reprogramming the wrong motor pattern, then you're not going to have the confidence going into that squat. You're not going to have the confidence exploding out of the bottom. So it's super important as a clinician when I'm looking at someone is to determine, hey, which of those 3 problems is it? And 9 times out of 10, it's usually all 3. And the thing that patients need to understand is like, or my athletes need to understand is, hey, it's not just, hey, I did those split squats that one day and now things are all better. It's like, you took a long time getting yourself to this point. It's going to take you're going to have to put in some effort here in order to get you back to the regular point. And just like if you're trying to get better at an Olympic weightlift, you can't just do one session of individual coaching with Brandon or Monroe and expect to be proficient at it. These are some complicated movements, and we're asking a lot of the body, and we got to build up coordination in these movements. So it takes time. And after this, there is some other exercises I want to go over with you about your knee because I've been doing more research lately, and there's some other stuff we can be doing. But
hell yeah.
Yeah, Jim, talk to me a little bit more about that. You were talking about unilateral movement versus, working on the shoulders at the same time there. I don't think a lot of people really think about doing that. I really don't think about doing that when I'm like, all right, we're doing, pull-ups today. I got to get both my shoulders ready to warm up, so I'm going to hop on a bar. But I would never think to talk about or doing, crossover symmetry with just one shoulder. Can you talk to us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so, and it's not just limited to crossover symmetry. It's really for any body part. And the nice thing about when I'm assessing someone's movement, or as a coach, when you're assessing someone's movement, they can hide their mobility during a squat. But if you tell them to do a single leg squat side by side and see the range of motion from one side to the other, there's likely going to be a gaping hole. It's like putting a magnifying glass and then looking at it to see, hey, okay, that hip's not moving, or hey, your ankle's not bending the way it's supposed to on this side. So let's say we're doing a squat and someone bends down and they start shifting to one side or the other, if you're not really astute, you might not even see it. The second that we load up just one side at a time, it becomes clear as day.
Yeah, that's an incredible thought, just because I'm thinking about like just doing pistol squats myself here, and if I go and squat down on my left ankle, right ankle is pretty good. Foot will stay flat and he's going to track outside a little bit. If I go on the left foot, I'll get up on my toe. I can't really get my heel all the way down on the ground, and the knee will actually track inside of the foot lots of the time. So that's super interesting that you bring that up.
Yeah, so the other thing too is when we're talking about weightlifting and performance is like, you hear these coaching cues all the time, like grab the bar, squeeze the bar. And the reason why we do these types of things is to trigger more motor units to the arms. Like let's say I have a kettlebell and I'm about to press it up overhead. If I squeeze the hell out of that kettlebell, now I've just turned on my core muscles to help stabilize. I've engaged shoulder muscles and everything else up the chain, so now I can effectively do it. Whereas like if I'm using a barbell and this side's not working as well, I could overcompensate for it with my other side. But it's training one side at a time creates better neural drive for coordination, as well as just, hey, like if you have a glaring inconsistency side by side, that's your cue, like, hey, I got to work on something.
Yeah.
So that doesn't necessarily mean, like, let's take Brandon's pistol, for example. Like, just because his left side isn't as good as his right, that doesn't mean that he's like, oh man, you keep doing pistols, you're bound to get an injury.
No, not at all. So like if
like people, and I think that like, I don't know, I just don't want people to be like, oh, I have an imbalance, I can't do anything.
Oh, no,
right.
People
Yes,
freak
yes.
out like that.
Yeah,
That's a
you're
good point,
completely
bro.
right. No, and it's normal to be unbalanced, but the beautiful thing is when you realize that you're unbalanced, now's the time to, hey, let's correct it. Like if we want to optimize our performance and you know that you have a weakness, like that's when we got to address the weakness, right?
Yep.
So it's not going to get better if you don't touch it. So that's what I would so working, on, and the way that you can implement this well as a CrossFit athlete is like, hey, let's say you just did like a 20-minute, chipper wad the day before and you're just spent the next day, but you still want to exercise. You can go to the gym and, it's not like you're throwing, a bunch of plates on the barbell and getting ready to, do a power clean or a squat or something. Go grab some kettlebells, go grab some dumbbells, work on these one-sided movements, and the intensity is not as high, so you're still going to recover, and you're not going to be wreaking, these huge, you're not going to just insult the whole system. You can just really fine-tune it to attack, one area of the body at a time. So just one day a week, can really go real far in terms of preventing injury.
Okay, cool. Jim, when somebody's dealing with an existing injury, say it's on one side, say it's like the right shoulder, right? Having a hard time raising my hand above my arm. Still okay to come to class? Should you rest that? Is it cool to grab a dumbbell instead of a barbell? What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, so I'm a huge fan of, and I treat, it's lovely that I work so close because I treat a number of CrossFit
everybody,
athletes.
yeah.
And the thing is like, I don't want you to stop training. I want you to keep training, but what I would advise is, if you're doing a movement, it's causing you pain, you're just picking the scab. And if you keep picking at that scab, it's not going to heal fully. So that's when you're going to want to modify movements. So if you know that doing thrusters is a super aggravating movement for you, modify it. Do front squats or do, push press or whatever variation of that exercise that you can still get a good workout in and it's not causing you pain. That's what you should be doing. But, just completely shutting down is, I only advise that really if there's no workaround. If you literally can't do anything without pain, then we gotta let the inflammation calm down before we can get you, to start progressing into rehab exercises,
And I that was something that before I met Jim, I talked about this in a video I made a couple weeks ago, where taking time off, like, I remember the first time talking, you were like, oh yeah, when's the last time you took time off? I'm like, what do you
is
mean?
that?
Like a rest day?
Yeah.
Like a week, like, did I take 2 rest days? So, I think there is definitely some value if you've been training 5 days a week for the past 8 years, like I had, like, it's like, at a point you should kind of take like a full week off and let your body chill out totally, and I've seen it's like, you give your body a break like that and it can finally recover and can gives it a chance to
and then
get back to
you start
normal.
gaining a lot more on the back end. Back at my old office, we worked with Olympic sprinters, and it was really interesting after the Diamond League, which I don't know how many people follow sprinting because I certainly didn't until I met these guys. After the Diamond League finals, that was the beginning of their off season, and their strength and conditioning coach was literally like, okay, you're not exercising, you can't touch the track, you can't touch barbells for 3 weeks. It was like non-negotiable because these guys are highly explosive athletes. They put a lot of stress and strain through their ligaments and tendons, and they need a break. And, to a different extent, they're genetically gifted. They've been training for a long time. They have the best eyes and ears in the world in their corner, treating them, keeping them safe. Now we take it to the CrossFit athletes, where a lot of times, we're all working class people. People are sitting down at, their computers for like 8+ hours a day. And then, you exercise for 1 hour a day. There's a disconnect there. We're supposed to be moving a lot throughout the course of the day. And when we get into these bad patterns, it can, really make things worse. So
Yeah, I love that you touched on that. And, even like, Patrick Long, who's hits a lot of volume and everything like that. Maybe it was a couple months ago now, but he took an entire week off where he was just chilling and doing that. And I think we miss that sometimes, particularly when we want to just continue to get better and everything. But that's really important, is just to give the body a break. I love to do that when I go on vacation. I'm not seeking out a gym to go drop into. That's my time to basically recover, have fun. I'll do other stuff. I play spike ball, like to surf, do all that. But that's pretty much just my time to go ahead and chill and relax.
And that's a perfect time to plan it too, because then you could focus on what you should be focused on: friends, family, fun. Instead of being like, man, when I go back to the gym, I got to get on the whiteboard. It's like, no, unplug, delete the app until you get back home. You don't need to be looking at everything else.
Yeah, and I think as far as injury prevention goes and everything, not getting caught up in, is the workout RX or is it not RX, right? I mean, there's been days here where, the dumbbells are not my favorite thing, so we have dumbbell squat cleans or something. Those are really hard for me. And there's some days where I come in here 9 o'clock, didn't get a ton of sleep, where I'm just like, look, I just need to move today. I don't need to hit the RX button. Like, that's going to be okay. Let's grab 30s instead and just focus on moving well and then going from there. And then also even just dialing back your intensity as far as workouts goes and moving at 70% instead of 100%. We talked about this in the last episode. I think also just a really good way to give your body a break and also prevent some injury as well. Yeah,
and it's a double-edged sword with CrossFit. It's like, you want to go really hard, but then going really hard all the time isn't always the best thing. And it's funny because if you talk to the coaches, they'll tell you like, hey, take it easy, it's fine. But in your own head, you're like, no, I need to go harder, faster, stronger, longer. Yep. But no, you could be your own worst enemy sometimes, and that's a problem. So, don't be shy about taking off days or rest days or not, going full send all the time, so that when it is important, like with the open coming up, that's when you can, put the accelerator to the floor and then really get after it.
Yeah. That's a beautiful segue.
Yeah, that really was. Because speaking of which, the Open's coming up here, guys. March 11th?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, March 11th it's starting. Are we doing a draft this week?
The draft is tonight.
Oh, man. Monroe, talk to us about that a little bit.
So we're doing an intramural open competition. We have team captains, and everyone that's signed up on games.crossfit.com will be drafted to a team tonight. And I'm super excited about this year. We're going to do it where if you participate in the open and you submit your score on games.crossfit.com, then you will get a point for your team. If you win any first place in any division. And
there are a ton of divisions out there, guys, right? So it's not just going to be left to the RX athletes. They're going to be on top of the leaderboard. If you guys go out there, they have a whole assortment of masters divisions, starting from 35 plus up, foundations, scaled, adaptive athletes. There's a ton of them. So, don't just think that's for the upper echelon athletes. It's certainly not.
But so whatever, and I like that they have so many divisions now, because it is so much.
It's more inclusive, bro.
For more points, right? So more people. So it'll be fun. It's not just going to be like, oh, let me just pick all the good people. It's going to be, well, I want, Jamie Colby, because I know he's going to smash the, 44 to 50 division or whatever he is, So super excited about that. Each week we are going to do a guess the open workout. Closest person gets a prize kind of thing.
That'll be fun.
You'll also get a point for your team for that. And then each week I'm going to do the open on Thursday after the announcement. So first time I've ever done it like that. So pretty excited for that. And I'm doing it so that me and Pat are going to do kind of a reaction video, and then I'll do the workout and give my thoughts and stay up all night editing that so I can have it out ready Friday morning. So
I love awesome.
That's the plan. Super excited for the open. If you're not registered, even if you're not at our gym, it's a great time. Games.crossfit.com is where you can register for that. So
yeah, that's going to be a great time. Yeah. I'm registered on there. I would encourage you guys to go out there as well in the open. If you haven't experienced it before, it's an incredible environment, and you do some stuff, and you see a lot of firsts with people, first pull-up PRs on related lifts and everything, just because the environment and everything that's going on. It's super fun. Jim, talk to me about your open experience, man. Have you done one at Verity? Is this the first one you're going to be doing at Verity? Are you excited? Are you not excited?
Well, I did some of the open workouts before at Verity, but I never was registered and did it.
Yeah.
I was looking when I signed up last night. I guess I did it back at my gym in New York. I'm like, this is 20 pounds ago and like early stages of CrossFit when we weren't super fluid with the movement. So it'll be funny to, well, hopefully I've improved since then.
Dude, Jim, you've been a savage lately on some of these workouts, man. Like I'm excited to watch you and go toe to toe with you on some of these, man.
Thanks, man.
You have one of the best, I think, mental attitudes when it comes to workouts, where you embrace the suck, I think is what we say, so to speak, and you just accept it really well. I'm not quite that way, which is perfectly all right. Guys, closing thoughts? Anything else you guys want to talk about?
Same thing every week. Fitness, friends, and fun, man. That's what we do.
Okay.
Injury prevention, have fun. Don't make it too serious.
Injury prevention doesn't really rhyme with those, but yeah, that's important.
Name of the game today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Awesome, guys. This is good.
Yeah, I agree with that, guys. Go register for the Open. Follow us on YouTube. You guys can watch this stuff. Give us a review there on Apple. That'd be great as well. Hit a 5-star review. Share this with your friends if it's been impactful for you. But we appreciate you guys stopping by. This is the Full Send Podcast.